if you missed it and you're like, hey, was there a party for 301? Was there like some big, huge, thing? Oh yeah, we totally did it. We didn't hit record. I'm sorry you missed it. It just, yeah.
We had a post-it party for 300. Yeah. That was our party.
But instead we're doing a block party just for the whole Gutenberg
block party.
Block party. We're doing a holiday block party today. Let's go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced. Jonathan, how's it going, man?
Tell us about it. Good. Representing North Idaho.
Rep.
Because it needs representing real bad. It's like so.
So is this a joke where like we apologize for potato quality or something?
I had some good hash browns this morning. Thanks, Idaho.
Thanks, Idaho. All right, Say, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
Oh, what about me though? For reals.
What about you? We already know.
Yeah, what do you know? Love, hate, whatevs. My name is Say Reed, and I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress. At Say Reed Media on all the things, and I wanted to give my own Instagram plug today. I never we ever talk about Instagram. We always only talk about Twitter, and I just
not on this show.
I'm on the Twit, not as often really. I'm like sporadically on the Twitter. Anyway, Instagram at Egursis. Good luck spelling it. How do you spell that? Yeah, EGERSIS.
At some point, this was supposed to be like the secret Twitter account that I kept linking to, and you kept getting mad at me about.
Well, I didn't say go to Egursis Twitter account. I said go to the Egursis Instagram account.
You didn't wait a 30. Check that out.
Thanks.
Gosh.
I have other secret finstas and pinstas and
because if you tell Jason it's not going to be a secret anymore. Gosh.
I've got plenty of fritters
everywhere.
So if we're plugging Instagram for a moment, if you want to see some really good photography work, you should check out mine.
Let's be clear. We're not plugging Instagram. We're plugging our content on Instagram.
Jonathan,
Instagram
does
not need our help.
Sir Jonathan, I'm an aspiring photographer. That's all I'll say.
Also an aspiring night.
What does aspiring mean in that context? Like, do you just think about taking photos? You think about taking.
We can hope for things.
You hope your camera app works.
Let's just say, and hopefully won't be too disappointed, I work really hard for the photos that I take.
He works hard for his photos.
Nice.
Who's that guy with the green hair?
Yeah, George, tell us about yourself. How's it going, man?
For his photos.
Okay, with the hype man / intro track, it is George Stefanis building random stuff because I'm not going to curse for Jason's sake. And
he's not in church. You can totally do it.
I am ready for the holidays. I am just going to go hide. Happy Festivus, everybody. Happy Festivus.
Wait, if it's Festivus, then
it's the portable.
Can you air your grievances?
Festivus is Sunday. All right, we're gonna have a separate podcast for the airing of grievances.
Let's do it right now.
Comes out to the East Coast and pins me to the floor in the feats of strength.
Oh, okay. I was like, where's that going? The feats of strength. I forgot about that part. I really focus on the airing of the grievances.
We know.
That's my favorite part. I'm not like the best at the feats of strength. It's not like my super skill. I'm a good listener.
And to wrap up the intros, we might as well finish mine as well.
I don't even know what's happening anymore.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. My Instagram is at Jason Tucker. Feel free to go take a look at that too. And I do another show here called WP Blab. Feel free to go take a look at that. And lastly, we are proudly sponsored by ServerPress, makers of desktop server. I want to say thank you very much for them for helping us out with doing this live stream. We use Zoom now for doing our live stream stuff.
And it costs money.
It costs money. And the first time that something actually costs money for a Watercooler, so I was like, okay, fine, we'll see if we can get some help for that. And I want to say thank you very much for them for helping us out with that. And we're also streaming live on Twitter, on YouTube, as well as on Facebook. So hi everybody.
But not Instagram.
Not yet.
So much. Hey, what's George's Instagram?
I have no idea.
That's like it? It's like at I have no idea?
It's probably George Stefanis somewhere. I don't know.
All right. Obviously, it's not a platform you frequent, so we don't care. It's cool.
At George Stefanis. Okay.
So you like Googled it? He's like, hold on, let me Google my Instagram account real
I've
quick.
got like 2 photos from the last 2 years. So
Let's add one right now. You should add one of us right
I
now.
refuse on principle.
Well,
I'm being contrary.
That's different. Let's
You're
block party
an
it up.
expert.
Yeah.
Let's block party this.
So this morning I got an email
Town.
from one of my web hosts, one of the many web hosts, but one of my web hosts saying that one of my websites failed the upgrade to WordPress, and I was like, oh, that's fun. Let's go in there and dig around. So I dug around in there, and just to let you know, folks, just because you claim that you're a web developer and just because you claim that you're an admin of WordPressy things, it may help at one point to probably go in and update some of the old plugins that are in there. So this is a PSA. Just want to let you know, you should definitely go in there, do a backup of your website, and then push update all the things and have it update all the things, and then update your WordPress and see.
I'm curious. Do you guys actually do the backups?
No, I have a web host that does it.
I mean, like that whole process of like backing it up, right? Because like a lot of people say that, I've said it lots of times. I find that I often don't actually do, like, I don't back up my stuff before clicking upgrade. Like if it's a client side, yes, absolutely. But for my own projects, like, am I the only one?
I back up my backups because I am paranoid about losing data, especially when it's other people's data. If it's my data, I'm kind of carefree about it, which is probably annoying, but like when it's other people's data, I even go on, even when I'm working at WP Engine, I will go do a manual checkpoint backup before I do anything, even though there's a backup when no one's touched the site. I don't even care. Like, why not? Just back up the backup. I'm obsessed.
Sorry,
I heard you like backups.
Yeah. I'll take some backup with my backup.
I like backups so much that I was backing up my backups with my backups that were then being backed up to the backup. So slowly but surely, my backups were going like this in size because I was backing up the backups that were being backed up, and it was.
I don't do that.
Financial growth.
I don't do that part.
Well, I did
learned that
lesson.
Yeah.
I figured out how to do exclude folders and.
So Jason, so what happened? So
it blew up.
Oh yeah, it blew up. Like the website was just like, oh, this is all jacked up. So that was my morning.
Wait, that was today?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about like
Not
the
my
whole
morning.
story.
I'm like, those 4 people that are trying to look at my cat blog, I got to make sure this thing works, and I don't even own a cat, so I was like, let's see if I can get this going here, and so yeah.
That's an out-of-date cat blog. My cat died 4 years ago.
I transcended past the 4.9s, went to 5.0, and things working great now.
Nice.
Oh, I had a site do the 499 thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
How'd that
trippy. I think it was probably on. I don't remember what it was on, which host it was on. It's probably on WP Engine. No, it went fine, but it was really funny because I was like startled because it was like we did a backup and I was like, ooh, and then it was like it was 499 and it was it was that weird like reverse backup thing. I just think that's really funny, right, George? Isn't it funny?
Your stuff.
It is hilarious.
I'm so glad you're here for your color commentary.
Back to you, Say.
Did you have any issues, George?
You know what? I need the vacation. My brain is fried.
I mean, it's not like you've been on a crazy coding binge for like the last 6 months trying to get a major piece of software out the door compatible with anything. I mean,
no, why would you ever suggest such a thing? That's crazy talk.
Is all of automatic just like like you guys are like twitching? You're all like twitching. Slack channels are quiet.
We're legitimately very excited about Gutenberg and how it's going to be playing out across the WordPress space.
Wow.
No, honestly.
Wait, no, we're all excited about Gutenberg. It's just your energy level's like, we're really excited about Gutenberg and it's gonna be great. As soon as we sleep for just like a little bit, just like Tuesday.
What day of the week do we do the podcast on?
Yeah.
Friday. Woohoo!
Friday, I think.
Yeah.
We do it on Friday. It's awesome.
You want energy? Talk to me on a Monday or a Tuesday.
See, we used to do Mondays and it didn't work out.
I don't want energy. I love you just the way you are, George. You're perfect. Okay. Anyway, Jonathan, tell us about your favorite blocks. Because that's what we're really supposed to be. We're supposed to be like blocking out, right?
So
I mean,
on my
supposed
own
to be.
side, I clearly don't have the same like sort of backup ethos that you guys do. That'll probably bite me sometime. But on my own side, I'm like, I'll just upgrade. Like, so I've been running Gutenberg for a while. Was happy about the 5.0, jumped into it. I don't really. Whoa, hold on.
Does that like ding when you like tell a fib? It's like your polygraph. It's like, nope. You're like, Gutenberg's been fabulous. Ding! No, I'm just kidding. I love Gutenberg. I kid because I love.
So I haven't played personally with the blocks very much. I've focused on it as a writing, like just using to do a lot more writing in. I've liked that. My gripe today is using the italics. Like when I'm actually writing on the keyboard, using Command I to shift to the italics and then go back, like it's not smooth. I have to go back and like select things, etc. So I'm feeling like on the one hand, I'm happy to be generally an early adopter of things, but then so like it's not a blocker. It's not something that I wouldn't use it. But on the other hand, it makes me nervous about people who won't have the early adopter tolerance.
Those people don't natively use Command I on their keyboard.
I'm suspecting that's the case.
They're already stopping and selecting and clicking. So they're probably all going to be okay about that.
Yes.
But to that end, given that you're, dev and all that, have you looked to see if that's in a ticket? That
was my next thing, because then this becomes the dilemma. Does it bother me enough to wonder if it will be addressed, or should I say something about it? And it's I'm at that point of like, I don't know. Here I'm talking about it on a podcast, but
here's my opinion, and then of course we should ask George because he's got lots of stuff to say today. Is that those types of things could be also connected to other things, right? So something that's simple on the surface, that's just a little blip that might seem annoying, could actually be something that's a little more systemic, possibly. So I think it's always good to say those things. And but of course, I would also say you should search exhaustively first, because what is annoying is the same thing being filed multiple times for like an italics thing.
Oh, but please tell me what search terms you're going to use to search for. Does italics work in WordPress? And it's going to be like, of course it does. Duh.
No, but I mean, it would be like off the, in the repo, and it would be not written by people asking about italics. So you would probably be able to, find something that was, if it had already been covered. I just think
JavaScript. So load up the console real quick, see if it throws an error when you do it, and you're like, oh look, somebody missed a semicolon. Awesome. Now you're a core contributor.
And then you get listed. Real fun.
I actually am listed as a contributor in 5.0. I was like, why? I don't understand. And then I had done some
one semicolon did the whole thing
back in Gutenberg. So it was yeah.
So do it again.
Do it again.
No, I will. I will go. I'll see if I can find an issue, and if not, I'll do a nice little video.
Fix italics. No, it's awesome.
You agree? Yeah, everyone should report.
Yeah, report it.
If you see something, say something.
So this is the interesting thing.
It's the official WordPress new slogan. If you see something, say something.
What about underline? Does underline or bold do the same thing too, or no?
I haven't tested those. I probably overuse italics in my writing.
Yeah, you're like, screw those other punctuations or font styles, really, but. Anyway, so you're just using it to write. George, have you built any new shiny things? You got your Hello Dolly done?
Yeah, tarot card block, contact block, and other stuff. Yeah.
You were in the state of the word.
Yeah.
Didn't he say like, I don't know why you'd want to do that, like or something like that when he said the thing about, he said some funny comment about the tarot.
I don't know. It'd be nice to find out what the future of Gutenberg looks like. So let's pull up a spread.
I think that's brilliant. You're like, this is just as good as any sort of roadmap tarot cards.
When we did our Mystery Science Theater 3000 interpretation of that, we were watching it and streaming it, and the tarot card came up, and Bridget goes like, "Who would build that?" And I'm like, "I know."
It's George.
It's George.
It's one of our people.
It's one of our people.
Yeah, I've been getting, just to kind of report back, I've been getting a steady stream of Facebook messages from old clients every couple of days. Hey, Say, so can I ask you a WordPress question? Hey, Say, so that's what I'm getting a lot of. Excuse me. I have
The answer to that is, why, yes. Do we have a maintenance contract where I'm happy to answer all your questions for you?
Unfortunately, the answer to that is Say is likes her small business people and answers their questions on Facebook Messenger like an idiot. But
yes, hello, this is Saybot here to answer your questions instead of letting you Google them yourself.
I should actually set up a bot for that. It's like if they say WordPress in the thing, the response should be, I love the new editor. It can cause some problems if you haven't updated your theme. Check it out. Here's info.
Italics. Thank you. Bye.
Use Italics.
So in the vein of reporting, so I found someone who reported it. They did a good job. I'll drop the issue here. Now, what's appropriate?
They call this real-time follow-up in the biz. This is real-time follow-up.
But now you should add your chorus.
So, well, that's the question. What's actually helpful at this point? Because, me too. I have the same issue. Like, is that actually helpful? Like,
well, I mean, did he?
Like you're piling on?
Did she? They? Well, it's Killer Man, so I'm gonna go with the he. Just for the thing. But did Killer Man? It looks pretty thorough, right? We're literally reading bug reports right now on air. That's awesome.
Like Batman and Killer Man.
Gosh, I don't know.
So here's the question for like general.
Polaris is Magneto's daughter.
If the issue has been reported and it's thorough, so they did a good job, and I'm going to presume that's the case. It looks pretty similar. What's the appropriate? Like, I've now subscribed to be notified of it. So like that's a good sign. But now, what's appropriate? Like,
you should be like first. Just kidding.
George, what is appropriate here?
Yeah, because wouldn't it be helpful to know that multiple people are experiencing this problem?
So my instinct is that I would I would read it carefully, see if there's anything that I can add in terms of steps to reproduce, and then say, hey, just wanted to point, I'm having the same issue, and maybe my environment's different, so I might add that if there's anything different about my environment.
Sure.
So,
I mean, the only other thing I can say, just because it gets really annoying when you have like 20 people all saying, yep, me too, yep, me too, yeah. Me too. Yes. If there was like one reply saying, yes, this is happening to me too, note, anyone else that wants to say it's happening to them too, add a thumbs up reaction onto this comment to consolidate all the similar reports.
So like offer, like, so put mine, then offer at the end. Like
anyone else who wants to say the same thing, just react G instead.
React G.
Yeah, react emoji.
React G. I think that's great. What there's not a I think that's something that, you know, is the +1 feature or the like kind of upvote feature. That's not something that is really like part of this sitch, right? I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh no, GitHub does have that.
Where is it?
Yeah, like
I'm like, now I'm gonna sound like an idiot because I'm like looking at
the top of the post to the top top right. There's like a little emoji icon. You can add a reaction.
Oh, there it is. My screen was covering it. I totally look at GitHub all the time.
So that's helpful. I'll try that.
That's great. We solve problems.
But as people are having, like, that's the thing though. It's like, what is that? What becomes that tipping point? Because I'm not sure if I would have been motivated enough if we hadn't talked about it to actually like, go find the issue. But it's, you know.
But as a contributor in the space, as a person who's active in the space, right? Like, isn't that the strength here? So like, isn't you not saying that, like, and hear me out, I'm not accusing you of this, but isn't that kind of like not voting or like, you know, not calling your congressperson if you feel strongly about something and just like kind of opting out, like in the WordPress sense, you know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, yeah, that's a thing. And then like, you know, not actually participating, which I totally do. So I'm a total.
Well, this is why I brought it up, right? To shine some light on it, because I think you're right. Like this is the type of stuff that makes a difference. Like my career got started in this space by like people helping me figure out how to do a WordPress integration. And I decided to then write about it and sort of share, here's what I learned in that experience, right? And like, yes, it's extra effort, but it's not that much effort. And oftentimes it's easy to like stick in our own heads, like, oh, you know, someone else is going to address this. And this is part of why I raised it, because not necessarily. No one, because if everyone thinks that, then it might not get addressed at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. And to figure out, especially when it comes to something like this, where is a pretty basic type of thing that's I don't know, it's like a very it's just like inside Microsoft Word. I always think of like, is it bold, italicized, underscore? Like, you should know how to use these things. It's super easy to do. So by highlighting some text and then clicking on the italic button, or pushing, or rather you're doing the command I, that this is not working. And then what happens after that? And you're like, well, wait, now I'm not getting a space after it. What's going on with this? And you're kind of digging further into it. Totally worth reporting. And I think other people need to be able to kind of go through and report these sorts of things as well.
I'm inspired.
Also, I think it's those little things that are what the average person will judge as, like, that type of stuff should be smooth, right? Like, it's not the, whether the blocks compatibility on this thing, like, that's not the type of thing that the average user is going to notice. I mean, unless their whole site is broken in the transition, which is different. But like, this is the type of thing that they'll be like, oh, it's buggy, or oh, it's just wonky, or oh, I can't just make that work right. And that's where this isn't just like, on its, it should have that. That's like kind of people's opinions. And so if it doesn't have that level, like UI and those expectations being met, that's really important.
Yeah.
Sorry about my dogs.
It's all right.
I think they're barking at UPS then, because that's
overall though, like I really like the writing experience. I'm really intrigued by, like, some friends of mine built something called Block Lab, which I think is fantastic, and having conversations with them about, like, and it's interesting, like, what's going to happen next. On the one part, like, there's a bit of a concern in the back of my mind that's like, we're going to have this explosion of blocks that isn't really going to be valuable for the end user. It's just like a little, like, bell dinging. I think I'm optimistic about a lot of these things, but we're going to see a lot of change in the next little bit.
And to be fair, we've seen the exact same thing with custom post types for a while. Folks said, oh, there's going to be this explosion of custom post types. And there's going to be 50 different event post types that everyone's going to use. None of them are interchangeable. I'm just like, well, yeah, but a couple of them wind up winning out, and then that's what everyone uses, and it's fine.
And this is part of what I love about WordPress, right? Like, this, like, open, you don't really, like, ultimately I'd like to see a little bit more, like, how do we make it easier for people to use best practices and, like,
structure?
Yeah, like, but not forced, right? That's part of what's beautiful about WordPress, is that, like, people can kind of do what they want with it. And I think so it's interesting, like, how do you bring kind of structure and better practices to things and it really has to be merit-based. People have to want to do it. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting challenge for us as an ecosystem. And as we get ready to, like I was talking to my friends at Block Lab about it, and it's like, okay, so what are you going to do with this? Like, who do you focus on? Are you focusing on developers to make it easier for, like, them to create blocks? And they say, well, we're focused on agencies. Okay, that makes sense. But you kind of, where do you go with this? Like, right. Are you thinking about the user experience? What happens if, like, a user now has a bunch more blocks? Like, what does that interface look like, et cetera?
I mean, I think we are going to see an explosion of blocks. It's different than custom post types. It really is. And blocks are, especially as we get into phase 2, going to be even more, I mean, I don't even know what that looks like or what that conversation is going to be, because it's just, I don't even want to think about it. But there's already a bunch of kind of, like, block repositories out there that are competing, which is like the next theme forest kind of deal. Everyone wants to be the next theme forest or the next theme forest, essentially. But Code Canyon, that's the other one I was trying to remember, which is the same company. But that explosion without those standards that you were talking about, Jonathan, that created the theme options madness. That created the
this is good. Like, I know the folks at Envato, right? Like, a lot of
they're nice people.
Generally.
Yeah.
However, one of the things that I've seen is this sort of, like, this one-upmanship of, like, theme authors, where it's like this became this drive to, like, we got to pack in the kitchen sink because this is what people are demanding. And then we had this major, from my perspective, I'm kind of, like, painting broad strokes. It doesn't apply to everyone.
Bob Ross, go Bob Ross.
This major ding in, like, performance and security. Because now it's like, well, we don't care about those. That's not what users are wanting to buy. And I get it. Like, it's and then, of course, people's tastes change. Now they want these other things, et cetera. And so anyway, it's an interesting challenge because then some of these things take off in a big way, and now you got a million sites with a theme deployed with a major security issue or major performance issues, and it makes WordPress look bad.
And there's no auto update mechanism for Envato themes and plugins and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, do you recall? I think it was back when Jafe was still there. They started trying to push through like some WordPress theme requirements, guidelines, and whatnot. Like the first time they tried to push it, and there was all this pushback from the community, and it was like,
no, we like putting Visual Composer in everything. It's the best.
WordPress gets pushed back when it tries to put stuff in the repo. So I can imagine ThemeForest got pushed back from a thing that it's taking money from people for.
It's an interesting challenge, right? Like, how do you ultimately help encourage better behavior, but without forcing it? And the best conclusion I've reached is that you have to help the users care about it in a way that actually impacts them, and they will drive it. Because if suddenly the users are like, well, I want better code quality in my stuff. They don't have a way of measuring that. But if they recognize that performance matters and security matters, then I think like developers will follow. Now, some developers already do, but they're not getting the same traction as those who are like, anyway, it can be frustrating, right? Well, I write great code, but no one's buying my stuff. So
right. It's been Wild Westy, even in the theme world. And it was finally, I think, kind of like locking down a little bit. And now I didn't hear what you said, what?
Wild Westy, I like that.
It was Wild Westy, yeah. And now it's Gutenberg is like, we like discovered a whole new frontier. It's like, oh, there's not an ocean there. There's a whole bunch more land. And everyone's just kind of land grabbing, I feel like right now with all, well, they've been land grabbing, but now we're going to see, now that it's out and everything, we're going to see how it all comes out in the wash. And how do people, I think it's more like the Git Block Lab people, they're like, how do people want us to do? How do people want to use us? Like that's what a lot of the Gutenberg people I think are listening for. They're like, what should we do? Do you want us to, what blocks should we make?
You're talking about Wild Westy?
Mm-hmm.
No. Peter Westwood is not wild. He is a very calm British man and a delightful human being. And I will not sit by here and have you tarnish his good name by calling him Wild Westy.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he used to be one of the 6 lead devs on the project.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my geekdom was like, nah. I'm like, oh, I totally don't get that reference. I know who Timothy Berners-Lee is.
Tim Berners-Lee.
Yeah, that guy. See, you can drop some names, I'll get him. Other names,
unlike Al Gore actually did invent the internet.
Right.
Yeah, that's how you actually pronounce that, is Al Gore. You pronounce Tim Berners-Lee as Al Gore. That's the thing.
I'm very excited to see what happens. Like, I love this about WordPress. I love the Wild Westness of WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
And the innovation that it allows. I think as we grow as a platform and as an ecosystem, as like an operating system for the web, we need to up our game, but in a way that's not, I think it should be merit-based, right? Like how can we make it easier for people to apply better practices and help users be educated about those things? It's like the harder path, but I think ultimately produces the better outcome. So I'm excited to see what happens next.
Me too. I can't wait to see which things float to the top and which things are, kind of forgotten, like which fork is still around in 2019, like next year's thing. I'm like, which one's going to make it? Ooh, we should do a betting site for that. Is that illegal? Should we not do that? But we should definitely put gentle people's bets on which of the forks last past 6 months, 10 months. It'd be funny.
Yeah, it'd be my first time ever doing a fantasy football, but it's not football. It's actually
what's beautiful is that they'll certainly last. Like, that's the beautiful thing about WordPress. They will last, but will they have adoption? Will people keep using them?
I mean, that's not true. There's plugins. I mean, do those plugins that are 3 years old in the repo count as lasting? I mean,
I was going to say
that last.
Someone could take them up again, right? Like, that's the thing about GPL. But anyway.
Yeah, you can adopt it.
Where's the passion, though? That's what we need to know. Measure passion.
I think we have 1 minute left, but I think we're in a space now where when the new iPhone came out and it's a new, the size of it was different. And it was it just came out and everyone rushes to Best Buy to go find the case that they want to buy. And everybody had to buy that one case. And you're like, oh man, I got that one clear case. There's no other cases, just this one case. And you're waiting for the rest of the companies to start putting out their stuff. that's where we're at right now with Gutenberg and doing block editing type stuff. Is like we're all downloading the same plugins, going like, yeah, look at all these cool blocks. There are going to be some really ridiculously cool blocks out there,
and
like
some ridiculously lame ones.
Yeah, when we first saw Beaver Builder, when we first saw Divi, when we first saw all these things, we were like, wow, this is the future. Just wait. You're going to see some amazing blocks show up, and everyone's going to be talking about these as the only things to use. With that, I want to say thank you very much for all of you folks for hanging out with us. And I saw folks in the chat room. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. We have chat rooms all over the place, yeah.
I want to chat to those people. You need to link me.
I will.
Now it won't help, but I love you all. Bye.
See you later. You have a good one.
Happy non-denominational holidays. Oh, bye, Jonathan.
Happy Festivus.